Everybody is talking about naked short selling, and there's this media attention going around that everybody's just the Wild West and everybody's doing naked short sales. We've addressed this issue on the show over the last couple of weeks, and I'm, as a prop trader, know if I'm doing a naked short sell, I'm getting fined significantly and possibly going to jail. I dot the I's and cross the T's on the locates, and I bet you most of the other prop firms are doing the same thing out there. But it brings to the question of GameStop, because everybody comes back at me and says, well, how then is GameStop short interest 130% if there's not naked short sales? And you're telling me that there could be another answer.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion about this, and hopefully I can clear it up somewhat. The reason you often see in certain stocks short interest of greater than 100% has to do with something called rehypothecation of stock. Let me explain it with maybe a quick example. To sell stock, first you go out and borrow it from someone, then you go out into the market and you sell it. Let's say you just sold short 100 shares by following that process. When you do that, your broker reports that its customer is short 100 shares. So far, so good. But this is what's important to understand. The person who bought those 100 shares from you doesn't know that you sold short. That information, it doesn't appear on any of the execution or clearing messages that the broker receives. So the buyer naturally assumes he owns it free and clear. Once it's in his account, it then becomes available to lend out to a short seller again. So what happens if your buyer then lends that stock out and it's sold short again? Well, that broker also reports that its customer is short 100 shares. And so the stats now are going to show short interest of 200 shares when it's really the same 100 shares that were sold twice.
Okay, but that chain can't go on forever, right? It can only go on that extra loop.
No, actually, it could go on again and again and again. And
really? Wait, for real?
Well, let me just point out. So there have been times when there have been some ETFs, for example, that have reported short interest of more than 1,000%.
Wait. Hold on. You just blew my mind. That chain
This is awesome.
Wait. I always thought that you can lend shares at one time.
No, because think about it. In each time, the buyer has no idea that the stock was short in the first place. Has every right to relend it if he wants.
And looking at this and it's saying, oh, it's the Wild West and it's all the evil hedge funds that are doing naked shorting here. This is your answer right here. It makes complete sense. I mean, you can't disclose that, oh, I shorted it to you, because talk about that part of it.
You might ask the question, well, why don't we require brokers to tell the buyers that, yeah, this was short and you cannot relend it again? Let's say you're the short seller. Do you want the buyer to know that you're short? I mean, maybe you don't care for 100 shares or 200 shares. What if you're shorting, 100,000 shares or 50,000 shares or whatever? You probably don't want the buyer to know that you're short. And by the way, if the buyer does know that you're short, he'll have some information that the rest of the market doesn't have. And that's somewhat unfair as well. So there are a lot of reasons why this is such a tough, intractable problem. But I guess people should know that there are a lot of smart people that are working on, different solutions for this. Sometimes it's interesting to drop onto Twitter once in a while. There's a group of market structure nerds that often discuss these types of things, and they bounce ideas off each other and so on. It shouldn't blow anyone's mind per se, although it can be a problem in a short squeeze, as we saw with GME.
This just, dispels that, myth there that everybody's doing naked short selling. I mean, Bill, a lot of people in the industry too. I mean, this is low-hanging fruit for a regulator. If you're not getting locates on your stocks, this is something they're looking for and something they can easily track and easily fine. And obviously, if you're, doing it to a detriment to the market, you could go to jail for this. I mean, this is not something that is common to just have naked shorts on. They cracked down on this stuff after the financial crisis. And I tell you, they audit traders, they'll come in there and make sure they have their locates. I keep all my locates. I keep a record of these things on my PC for a prolonged period of time, just in case I get an audit.
For most retail investors, the broker basically does all that legwork for them. But you're right, it's important. It's easy for the regulators to spot, and so it generally doesn't happen.
What are your thoughts here? Obviously, the GameStop with Reddit.
It looks like there are at least some people that were involved on Reddit with the GameStop
Wall Street
bets, that may have been employed by brokerage firms. Now, let me explain why that's important. When you go to work for a brokerage firm, you are obliged to follow much stricter rules than people who aren't. Some of those rules have to do with what constitutes research advice, stock promotion, fraud, and so on. And registered persons prove that they understand the rules by taking certain FINRA tests. They're called the Series 7 and the 24 and the 63. In this case, as I said, it appears that at least one person involved in this promotion of GME is or was a registered person. Now, There are lots of investigations getting cranked up as we speak to look at what's happening in the case. But here's what I know for sure. The SEC and FINRA don't care much whether some misguided politician or editorial writer thinks you're part of a new populism or David versus Goliath movement. They don't care if you have a cool screen names with lots of rocket emojis. What they care about, and what they care about passionately, are the rules. Let me just say one more thing for our viewers. Everyone should be aware of a website that FINRA runs called BrokerCheck. It's free. You go there and you can look up the history of anyone that you see. And the next time you read a gushing article in a paper or magazine about someone, maybe the first thing you should do is go to BrokerCheck and take a look at him, look at his background, look at his history, where he's worked, and so on.
Great point. BrokerCheck is an invaluable resource. Bill Harts is the former CEO of Modern Markets Initiative. Just blew my mind, changed how I look at markets. Apparently, stocks can be borrowed out infinitely. Good information to know. Bill, thanks for the time today. We appreciate it. That was great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, I can't even get over that right there. I didn't know that the loop can go forever. I did not know the loop can go forever.
You learn
we've been
something
asking for
every
the
day
answer.
here on Benzinga's PreMarket Prep.
We've been asking for that answer that Bill just gave us for a while, because I was convinced, I highly doubt, there's not a lot of naked short selling going on out there. I know there people believe that. Before 2007, I would say yes, 2008. But that all changed after the financial crisis, and they really cracked down on it. So this rehypothecation of shares is your answer, because that share can be borrowed and that loop can go on indefinitely, because there's no way that person who bought the shares from you knows you sold it short. So they think they own it outright. So they think I can lend those shares too. And that's how it happens.